Hi, everybody. Welcome to Queers and Soaps. My name is Derek, and today I'm joined by Karen
Hey.
and Angel, my special guest today.
Hello.
And we're going to be discussing what's happening on GH for the last 2 weeks from March 17th to March 28th, 2025. Tommy, roll the credits, and we'll get right into it. All right. So we'll start with Carly and Brennan. Carly had just drinking the poison champagne, and she's, collapses, and she has polonium poisoning, and Brennan rushes her to the hospital. Uh, Carly, I don't know, is in bad shape. Anna ends up calling Robin, who developed the antidote for polonium poison years ago, which I forgot all about, which I probably mentioned. But
It was a little history heavy the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it turns out, Carly's gonna be okay. I don't know how the antidote got to her. I don't know if
okay. So what happened is that they didn't know it was polonium poisoning at first. Carly collapsed. She had drank one glass of the champagne, but she was about to drink a second glass, and Brennan noticed there was something wrong with the bottle, and he knocked it out of her hand, but it was too late. Mm-hmm. So when they're at the hospital, he is making calls, trying to figure out what's going on and figure out what kind of poisoning it is. So he has the champagne tested. They find out it's polonium poisoning, and Anna's like, "I got this. My daughter invented the formula. So we're going to call her, and we're going to get it formulated here. We'll get her to give them the recipe."
Right.
So like Robin's just like telling people how to cure polonium poisoning, and they're just like, "Hey, Dr. Gannon, by the way, it's polonium poisoning." And he's like, "What the hell? Like, who gets polonium poisoning?" And it's real touch and go. Carly almost dies. I think she, they always do the flat line and all that nonsense.
Right. Okay, so call back to Jerry Jacks in that scene. So that was an interesting.
My guy, Jerry Jacks?
Yeah, it was an interesting Jerry Jacks. Maybe it's a hint that he's coming back. Who knows?
I'll take what I can get. I'll take the crumbs.
All right, so we will talk about Valentine. Valentine sneaks into his old house, which is now Sonny's, of course, and he's stealing passports that say, "Will Cortland and Melanie Cortland." So nice, all my children nod.
Yes.
That was really cool.
Did you guys cackle? I kind of cackled when I saw
it. Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great. Especially since we're watching 92 now, and we're watching Will and Melanie. We saw Melanie for a little bit, but she left. But yeah, it's fun.
It was cool though, because he had it hidden inside the fireplace, like in the mantle of the fireplace. Really cool, very good spy place to hide things. And then they turn around and have Sonny Corinthos sitting there with a gun. Not great, not fun.
Right?
No, not the first time in these 2 weeks he has a gun pointed at somebody.
Oh my God. All Sonny's been doing is pointing guns at people and collapsing all week.
Yeah.
Basically. So Sonny has his gun on him, and Valentine tells him that this guy Selinsky is the one who was the one behind the incendiary device being set off at Sonny's penthouse. Mm-hmm. And then Sonny calls Brennan and tells him that Valentine's here, and Brennan tells him that Carly's at GH in return for the tip. So,
right,
yeah.
But Valentine is so fast.
Yeah,
because he went from he's like, "Okay, I'm about to be shot by Sonny. How do I get out of this?" And he's like, "I have information and I will trade information to get me out of here."
Exactly. So
Sonny didn't let him have his passports. He's like, "I own them now. They're in my house. They're mine."
Right.
Hey, thanks, guy. What are you going to do with all my children passports to Pine Valley?
Right? Exactly. I'm surprised
they didn't all over town
on them. That would have been pretty cool if the address was on there.
Oh, that would have been cool. Would have been cool.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll talk about Brooklyn and Chase for a second. Brooklyn tells Chase about her grandmother and her mother, and that she's upset because her grandmother knew all along about the child she gave up for adoption. Imagine how she's going to feel when she finds out that she has been under her nose this whole time.
I would never speak to them again.
I know.
Yeah.
because that's horrific.
Exactly. Chase says he's just going to have to get used to Dante being the father of the baby. It's something he never thought he would have to get used to, but he's going to have to get used to it.
Can we talk about how weird that was?
Yeah.
And how they were behaving. They were like teenagers. They slept together on a fun summer vacation thing. When he comes back from vacation, he doesn't even act like they slept together. He's back to being friends with them. So it clearly meant nothing to him.
Right.
And the only reason it meant anything to her was because she got pregnant. And now we're acting like when they were teenagers, it was the greatest love of all. And all these men are acting like Chase and Lulu are the same. They're like, but you had feelings and you were in love. They were 15.
They were really
they were 15. Yep.
What kind of emotions do they have?
It was young lust. That's all it really was.
Young lust.
Summer. Yeah, they just fell into lust. It was probably the only woman he was interacting, girl he was interacting with all summer because they were at the boys' camp and the girls' camp. And it was just like she was homesick. He was familiar. Even she says it. She's like, it's not a big deal. And then Lulu's like, I can't believe Dante wouldn't tell me that he had feelings for her. We don't know that he did.
We don't know that he did,
There's no one's ever had sex with no feelings before on a soap. Never.
Never happens. Okay. So Trina confides in Kai about the significance of the book that Emma got her for her birthday, and she tells him about Spencer. So
love it. Just keep talking
really
about Spencer. Yeah.
Sorry.
I love the little notation in the book. Sorry, Kai.
Sorry, we're still still shipping Spencer and Trina.
Well, at least they've given Kai a personality now. Before he was just like generic jock number 5.
I was looking Kai a little bit better the last 2 weeks. I liked how he stood up.
Because they gave him a personality. Before he was nothing. And it's not the kid's fault that they didn't give him a storyline. Now he's starting to get relationships with other people, like with Drew and with Curtis. And also now that he's starting to interact more, they're starting to show that this kid's got talent, and now they're giving him things to do. It makes him less of just that guy that's hanging around Trina.
Yeah.
Shame Spencer's going to show up, and it's going to be Love Triangle City.
Yeah, I agree. And once they recast him,
I hope they get a good Spencer.
They're going to have to work on getting chemistry, though, because if they don't have chemistry, it's not going to work.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because when they cast the Tatiana, I remember they I guess I remember hearing that she was supposed to be Trina, like she was down to being Trina. I don't know if this is true because I might be cool.
I think I know what story you're talking about.
Yeah,
where it was like she was like number 2, and
she was number 2, and then Cindy Michaela was number 1.
Yeah, and she was number 1. So when she left, they were like, "Well, number 2's available."
Yeah.
And turns out to be an incredible Trina. So good for her.
No, I did not know that.
We both heard it, so it's got to be true.
So Martin got arrested for unpaid alimony and sent to California by Tracy, which was funny.
Hi, Martin.
It was so funny because at first he was like, I don't have any wives in California. And he's like, oh, no, that one. And it's like, how many do you have? Like 8?
He has 3, I believe. One of them is
One
Blair.
of them's Cassie, right? Yeah, like Blair.
Yeah, Blair.
One Life to Live, yeah. So that's funny. But I love all the shout outs they've been doing to All My Children, One Life to Live. Like, they're really,
they're having fun.
They're having fun, yeah. I mean, we want them back, but, so probably not.
We'll take what we can get.
Yeah. So Lulu asked Dante if Rocco can move in with her because she feels like she's missed a lot of time with him, and Dante is not on board about this at all.
Because this is selfish and ignorant. I know.
Well,
terrible.
As we discussed throughout the 2 weeks how selfish Lulu really is. And it's just,
I'm having a really hard time with Lulu because I love the character. I loved her when she was a little girl. I watched her grow up, and this Lulu is so selfish. She knows that Sam died and that Dante is grieving. And then she goes, yeah, but I haven't seen Rocco because I was in a coma. So obviously he should live with me and you should be on your own while you grieve alone.
Yeah. Exactly.
Who cares about your feelings? It's all about me having Charlotte and Rocco. Because listen, she didn't care about Rocco until she found Charlotte. So she was disregarding Rocco's feelings this entire time to find Charlotte. Then she finds Charlotte, and all of a sudden she remembers that she has Rocco. And then she goes to Dante, and Dante's like, well, we went through this whole thing where all the fathers got together and we put the kids at the Quartermain so they could all be together. And she's just like, yeah, but what about me and my relationships and what I want to do? And Dante's just like, I don't even know what to do. And he goes to Sonny, and Sonny's like, well, what do you want to do? He's like, I haven't even had a chance to think about it. I don't know if it's a good idea. And nobody's even talked to Rocco yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think Rocco's going to want to leave his brother and his
No.
sister?
Lulu's thinking about what she wants, not about what Rocco wants either. She's not even thinking.
She has not thought about what anyone else wants the entire time. She has only thought about what she wants and how she morally judges every scenario she's in, which is so anti-Laura. It's crazy.
But it is pro-Luke.
It is! I'm watching Luke.
It's her father's daughter.
Yeah, I'm watching Luke in like 82. And yeah, it's like he says stuff and you're just like, are you out of your mind? You're insane. And this is so selfish and crazy. And yeah, she is a lot like Luke. I agree.
And Lucky's a lot like Laura. You mean
Lucky's a lot like Laura, yeah.
He is. Now he it's so funny because he models himself after Luke all the time, but he's soft when it comes to relationships and understanding. He's soft like Laura is.
Yeah, absolutely.
She reminds him sometimes too. She's like, oh, you just like me. And he's like,
So let's talk about Lucas and Marco. Apparently nothing happened. Lucas was too drunk and throwing up, and he is embarrassed for making a fool out of himself. Poor Lucas. I've been in this situation, so I know how it
is. he was just, why were you in my shower?
Right.
And he's like, let's just say that you vomited all over me.
You vomited all over me. Gotta take a shower. Your shirt is vomited all over too.
Yeah, Lucas is like, why am I in a different outfit? And he's like, let's just say. I feel like Lucas must have projectile vomited everywhere.
He must have. He did not.
I would never talk to Marco again if that happened. I'd be so humiliated.
Yeah, and he still got his number, and I'm like, well, I would be like, I never want to see this man ever again.
I think Lucas
does he call him?
Yeah, well, he was talking
Lucas is stuck in a rock and a hard place because he's like, listen, that was really humiliating, but also Marco is so hot.
I know, and I think he was talking to Liz later. He's like, should I call him? And she's like, no.
Yeah, but Maxie is like, you need to text.
I like Maxie he was talking to.
Maxie's like, what is wrong with
friendship?
Yeah, I love their friendship. Yeah. Okay, so we'll go back to Valentine. Laura catches Valentine outside her door, and she tries to turn himself in. Valentine says he's going to go on the run, and then Brennan pulls a gun on him at the pier. Anna hears that Sonny turned Valentine over to Brennan, and she races to save him. That was a cute scene between the two of them, by the way.
Yeah.
Laura was being Laura. She always has so much faith in the system and how everything's going to turn out. And Valentine is like, they'll kill me. So like turning myself in means I'm going to die. But I wanted to come here and see Charlotte before I escaped. And she's like, Charlotte's not here. And then they just talk. And obviously, Laura's a very Pollyanna character sometimes, which is completely directly at odds with the fact that she has murdered a lot of people.
Right.
But yeah, so I thought it was a lovely thing. And I also liked that Jason and Anna ended up going to the pier together.
Yes.
And Jason was like, just let Brennan shoot him.
That was great. So Brennan ends up getting taken away, but Valentine ends up getting taken away by Brennan, and then Jason questions Brennan about Carly and what happened with the polonium poison and all that.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So we'll move on to Nina. Nina wants to buy Willow a house to prevent her from moving with Liz.
Nina's trying so hard.
She's trying so hard.
Yeah.
Willow's not really. I mean, Willow's going to do what she wants regardless, but she's kind of like. I think at first she's like, oh, maybe, and then. But Nina's on this thing where she's like, if you move in with Drew, you're going to lose your kids. And this is
she's not wrong.
She's not wrong. No. So Nina has this in her head, and she really wants Willow to take her up on her offer. But we'll talk more about that in a second.
Also, can someone tell us when Willow had the lobotomy off screen? Because she is dumb.
She is dumb. As you will see throughout these next 2 weeks, she is dumb. She is just brainwashed.
Forgetting she's a nurse.
It's so funny.
Like, oh, that's Willow.
Yeah, because remember, she was going to be a nurse previous to, I think, the cancer diagnosis and all. And then she ended up going through the whole 9, getting into the program, doing the whole program, accelerated program, because she was obviously a nurse within, 5 minutes. And then she does the job for 2 weeks. She's like, I can never see my children. And then takes the weird job with Drew over for what was it, to be a spokeswoman for that place that sounded like a cult. And then she did that for 3 seconds, but she kissed Drew, and then she quit that job and then decided to go back to the hospital. So she's been ping-ponging all over the place.
Yes.
Multiple writing teams later, she's a nurse again.
So we'll get to this. Tracy informs you that Martin was arrested, and I love when she said, Snugglepuss exit stage west. So Willow comes in and defends Drew and says that he is the best man in the world, and that he
is her favorite scene.
Him. And Tracy says, "I'm going to remember you said that."
He just very delicately gets in Willow's face, and she's like, "I'm going to remember you said that."
That was really great scene, by the way. It was really good.
Well, it was the understanding of an older woman who's been through all that, and all the older ladies are trying to warn Willow that she is in a bad scenario, and she's just not listening.
Yeah. Okay, this is one of my favorite scenes of the first week. Chase threatens Lulu and tells her to tell Dante about the baby. He will have her arrested for breaking and entering. And I thought he was awesome. And I love their scenes together. I love Chase stepping up for his wife. That was awesome. Great scenes.
It's a great scene, but I have a feeling he did it because he's angry at Brooklyn and he can't take it out on her. So he decided to take it out on Lulu.
That is definitely true.
Yep.
Yes. But I still liked it.
Oh, I loved it. I'm not.
Yeah, me too.
And I really liked it because it gave the actor who plays Chase, Josh Swicker, something to do other than, dote on Brooklyn all the time and be her confidant. So I liked it.
Yeah, his personality is be Brooklyn's confidant, be a good cop, but too good of a cop because he has no feeling for nuance. He's just good cop. Whereas Dante has to deal with balancing being Sonny's son versus being a cop, and Anna has to balance being a triple spy and in love with Valentine with being a cop, and her best friend being Jason.
Right. So
he doesn't get as much,
Lois and Brooklyn have it out. Brooklyn cannot get over the fact that she kept a secret that her grandmother knew about her child. She can't get over this, so Lois decides to head back to Bensonhurst for a while.
This was the time to confess about Gio. It's only going to get worse from here.
Yeah.
And the fact that she hadn't, it's not going to end well for Lois at all.
No.
And I want to feel bad for Lois, but I don't, because she should have been honest from the beginning.
I feel bad for Lois because all of this is retconning, and it just really out of character for something that Lois would have done.
It's not something Lois would do, so that's why it's so out of character and so weird. It's a weird retcon.
I think the whole storyline sucks. I think it's a great showcase for both Brooklyn and Chase. But other than that, I can't stand that it keeps going around in circles, and Lulu's basically had the same dialogue for a month now. She says the same thing in every scene.
She does. I will say this: the acting in this storyline
is incredible,
fantastic.
Oh yeah,
the storyline is terrible,
amazing.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we'll talk about Lucky and Liz for a second. After he says the night, Lucky tells Liz that he wants a relationship with her. Finally, yay!
Yay!
Okay, and then a lot of people telling Carly to stay away from Brennan this week. So first we have Felicia.
Shut their mouths.
First we have Felicia They first have the heart-to-heart about Bobby, and then Felicia tells her to stay away from Brennan. And Carly,
I think I have to tell you that as Bobby's friend, Bobby would tell you to stay away from Brennan, except that Bobby didn't stay away from Damian Smith or any other dangerous man she ever dated.
Nope.
Correct.
Who was the one that was it? Jake Myers who abused her?
No, yeah. Brock.
Oh, Brock.
I'm sorry, Brock Myers.
Yeah, do not talk crap on Jake. He was a wonderful man.
You know what I'm thinking? You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking of somebody else named Jake, who's not on GH. I might be thinking of the actor more than the character.
His name's probably because he was on other stuff, but his name's DL Brock, and we're in that storyline right now. And I know what happens, and I don't think Eric knows what happens, but I do know what happens, and it's awful.
So we also have Liz
shouldn't be watching this.
Tell her to stay away from Brennan. Jason warns her that if whatever happens to you, it's going to happen to Brennan. If you die, Brennan's going to die.
It was so incredible because they were yelling at each other because normally they're on the same page, right? They argue a lot, but like he was. Steve Burton was so intensely good in this scene. I have never seen his eyes look bluer when he was standing there with tears in his eyes saying, whatever happens to you happens to him. And she's just like, why can't you just let me live my own life? She got a good point in because she's like, you don't want me to date him, but you were fine with me dating you or dating Sonny. She's like, your problem is you can't control this situation. So you're more upset than you would be. And Jason's like, yeah, sure. But also you just almost died.
Exactly. Great scene. Really great scene.
Impressive. But I think he deserves an Emmy this year, honestly.
If he doesn't get an Emmy, I'm going to be really upset. Like,
we riot.
For real.
It'll be for next year, right? Because
next year,
yeah,
because next submit, year.
All right, so we'll talk about the sports conference. Drew is trying to recruit Kai into politics, and Curtis warns him about Drew. Portia plays nice with Drew. We meet Ezra, Daniel Cosgrove. I'm not really liking his character so far. He's
scumbag.
He's scumbag. He's swarmy.
Yeah,
but he plays it well.
He does play it well.
Yeah, I hate him. So he's doing a great job.
He's doing a great job. I hate him.
Yeah, basically. Anything else to say about that?
I hate that he's against my girl Laura. Never not going to be repping Jeannie Francis. I think first off, Jeannie Francis looks incredible. She's
and he's also trying to get Laura out as mayor, and he's trying to run. So he's pushing wedges between Laura and Jordan, which I don't like because I kind of like that. But I feel for Jordan because I feel like every character who's been in that position, like Jordan, like Garcia, like Mac, like all the people who used to be cops and then are now in the government, they're always like, why do we always have to deal with Sonny? Why do we always have to have this friendship with Sonny? And Laura, out of the blue, weirdly Pollyanna style, again, made up with Sonny, which I hate because I liked when she was against Sonny. It made more sense.
Me too.
So this was just her being like soft because she is like that. But I just hate it. I hate that they shouldn't be on the same side. Laura doesn't stand for what Sonny stands for.
Yeah.
He's not a mobster with a heart of gold. He's a mobster who kills people.
Yeah. And Jordan even says later, I think he might have a point because Laura's never going to see this truth about Sonny. Well, she sees the truth, but she ignores it.
Yeah. But a lot of people do that.
Yeah, that's true.
Almost everyone in town. And Jordan even acknowledges that she would prefer Sonny over other unknown elements because it's really a case of the devil you know versus the devil you don't.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is Selena Wu, by the way.
Well, we didn't see. Sad. We didn't see her.
It's always sad when she's not on. But you know what? It's always a delight when she just pops up out of nowhere and she's threatening.
So Ava pops into Alexis's office and asks for a loan from the Cassadine estate. And poor Ava, she's so desperate for money in these 2 weeks. She resorts to so many different things to try to get money. She hits up Lucas for money. She hits up Sonny, which we'll talk about later. Like she just really needs money.
So when she hits up Alexis can't help her. But also Christina is there and being this. Oh my God, she's another one who
the
needs
most
new dialogue.
character on the show.
Yeah,
I swear to God, if she calls that baby Adela one more time, I really want to punch her in the face.
I like when this is much later when Ava was like, "Oh, look on the grave, her name's not Adela."
exactly.
It's not what the gravestone says.
Not what the gravestone says.
Okay, first off, yes, Ava is desperate this week, but does she look amazing? Yes. Is she fantastic in every scene
she's amazingly desperate? Yes.
Yeah, and she's like a bee going to each money-laden flower and asking for help, and they're all telling her no. Yeah. And Lucas I was so mad at Lucas because he was like, oh, well, Sunny will keep Avery in the lifestyle that she's accustomed to. Mm-hmm. Like, why are you repping Sunny? He is a mobster. Like, call Ava whatever you want, but Ava is a gallery owner and a legitimate businesswoman. Sunny is not. He doesn't even pretend to be. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was like really a dig, a shot at her. Yeah.
Yep.
Not a fan of that, Lucas, but the rest of you this week was wonderful.
Yeah, that's your aunt, Lucas. Come
on. So he did mention Tiffany, though, just so you know.
I did. I loved that. I was so excited when he mentioned.
She's like, "I'm your favorite aunt," and he's like, "Aunt Tiffany doesn't need any money."
I was so happy about that because we have not gotten a Tiffany mention in so long, and I even commented on that in our 93 podcast. Lucas never mentions his Aunt Tiffany, so we got it. We got it. I was so happy.
Give us a break. You got to slide him in there when it's a good dig.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember how Tiffany and him are related. Like
Cheryl is
exactly how they were related.
Cheryl Stansberry, thank you. Oh my gosh.
Who is Tiffany's sister.
I gotta tell you, I've been everywhere talking about the Cheryl connection this week. So if you saw comments about that on Reddit, you now know who I am. But
all right, we'll get back to Valentine. Valentine has summoned Alexis to the PCB, and he wants Alexis to take care of Charlotte financially. He's actually the one that got the lawyers to negotiate Ava's divorce settlement getting taken away from her. Props to him for that.
Yeah, but he wants Alexis to do it by siphoning money off of the account for the cast irons because she is the cast iron heir and she should have access to it. But Alexis isn't going to do that, but she is going to make sure that Charlotte is taken care of. Charlotte has enough family. She has nothing to worry about.
Right, exactly. And she said the money is all for Ace. Like, I mean, there's nothing.
She doesn't have any choice. The money is for Ace. That doesn't make any sense. The money should be Nicholas's. I don't understand what's happening here.
It should be.
Why are we skipping so many of the Cassadines when there's so many alive Cassadines to have this money? And what happens when they find out that Spencer's alive? Does the money revert to him, or is he just going to leave it with Ace?
I would think it would revert to him, but who knows?
He'd have to legally prove alive, I guess.
Yeah. So Charlotte arrives at the PCD and begs Anna to see Valentine. Anna calls Lulu, who later arrives and asks if Valentine can say goodbye to Charlotte. Lulu says no. At first. But then Alexis and Lulu have a very nice moment, and they finally see each other. And Lulu thanks her. She's so grateful to Sam, and she was always afraid. She's been afraid to see Alexis because it would be awkward. And then Alexis gives her a hug. So I did like Lulu in this scene. So I didn't hate Lulu.
I didn't like her initially because I was furious with her for not wanting Charlotte to say goodbye to her father, knowing that he could be killed. It was again very selfish. And I think being reminded of the sacrifice that Sam made is the only way that Alexis could convince her to let Charlotte say goodbye to her father.
Yes.
Again, she needs to stop making decisions that are based on how she feels and start making decisions based on how her loved ones feel. She's being very ignorant and selfish.
And the thing is, she is a mom, so she should be putting her children first, not herself. That's what I don't understand.
She's having a hard time with that. She doesn't seem to be able to do anything but be angry about the past with Brooklyn, which is so over. It's ridiculous. And
that, and so did Bill Eckert. So it runs in the family. Oh my God, the way Bill Ecker treats Sly is absolutely atrocious in 1993. I felt just so bad.
Gosh. Sylvester needs to come back.
I keep saying that, but people keep telling me Sly's a boring character and they don't want him back. But you know what? You do. You recast.
My feelings about Sly have
passed.
changed, and you can ask Eric. We've talked about this because now I can see how Bill treats him and how bad it is, and I get why Sly acts the way he does.
Yeah, I think when you rewatch. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. Well, also, years have passed, so they could basically do whatever they want with the character of Sly.
Right, and Lucky and Sly were so close. Like, I don't understand why they wouldn't bring them.
They were in the opening credits together.
Right, and Lucas were still all friends. Him, Lucas, Lucky, they all grew up together. Like, I mean,
but you look at things and like you see when you rewatch it, right? When you rewatched it as an adult. You have such a different relationship with the teenage characters than you did when you were a teenager because you're like, why was Mac trying to keep Robin away from everyone? Well, because they were all horrible people and he was trying to protect her. And like now as an adult, you're like, he did his best. And then you can be like, Bill Ecker did not.
Correct. That's very true. You definitely have a different perspective when you're older, for sure.
You always do. And then, like, everyone you thought was so old when you watched it as a kid, you're like, wow, they're really hot. What was I thinking? And young.
So Valentine is handed over to the WSB and Brennan, and then Valentine says, until next time. So we'll hopefully see Valentine.
Oh, we'll see him again. He's going to Steinmauer. He can get out of there.
Yeah, he'll be back.
He had such a great moment with Anna where they basically talked around the fact that they're still in love with one another. So he's definitely coming back.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's a part that I forgot to mention. Him and Laura had really good scenes, and that made me think that, like, oh, they were on All My Children together. So
they didn't.
All My Children mentions everywhere.
We'll see if they have scenes together. I haven't seen them in a scene together. That'd be fun if we saw them in a scene together.
It happens eventually everywhere.
Yeah. Okay, so this was fun. Nina broke into Drew's safe.
Hilarious.
Nina says she's trying to protect Willow because she's convinced that she's going to lose her kids if Drew and Willow move in together. Drew says, and this made me laugh so hard, that Nina just wants him for herself. Like, she can't stand any woman to have him, especially her daughter.
The way that Nina did not vomit on this man's shoes shows the self-control that woman has, because ew!
And the look on Nina's face kind of said it all. Like, are you kidding me right now? Are you shitting me right now?
She was like, you're so delusional. You're insane. I hate you.
God. So Willow comes in and they get into an argument, and then Willow says, you don't need to like step into my life like this. I can make my own decisions. Blah 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 blah. And this made me even more mad. This whole thing. Willow asked Drew if she's gonna lose her kids if she moves, and Drew says no, he won't let that happen. Like, how Drew can't make that promise. Come on,
no, you can't.
Like, how stupid are you, Willow? You're going to lose your kids. Michael is going to sue for custody.
Like, and he's gonna win.
And he will win.
Because nobody knows that he slept with Sasha, and she had an affair and then moved in with her affair partner before they're even divorced.
But
that's going to look horrible in the court.
But Willow is convinced that Michael's a good person and he doesn't take her kids away.
Yeah, and if she had moved into a house on her own, he would have settled for 50-50 custody and it would have not been a problem. But he was injured. He's recovering. She's keeping the children and he's not arguing on that. And he's been really decent about everything, considering she's the one that was cheating. Right. And she's going to turn around and shove it in his face, especially with Drew trying to take the Quartermain crypt away. You don't think he's going to look at that and be like, I don't want my children raised by that person who is horrible and was my uncle?
Right.
There's no scenario in which Michael is just like, I guess I'll just roll over and take it. No way.
Exactly. So Lucas tells Liz about Brad blackmailing Portia. Liz remembers Rick meeting with Portia and wonders if it was about the blackmail. So, I love it. I love this. Ava puts Portia and Nina together because they both need to take down Drew, and it was genius. It was so fun.
She's like, what you need are partners in crime. And she's like, well, what about you? And she's like, I'm your friend, but I'm not a partner in crime. Here's your partner in crime. And then she just leaves. And then they awkwardly look at each other. And really, Nina just kind of breaks the ice with, so you hate Drew too, right?
And Portia's like, well, I think Nina says, like, you know, my reasons for wanting to take down Drew are because of my daughter, and I don't need to know your reasons. And Portia's like,
yeah.
okay. And Portia's like, okay, I'm in.
And every week I like Portia more and more. They've I've turned around. I love her now. She's great.
Yeah, I think they heard us when we were like, Bad News Bear, come on, Portia, give her something to do.
Yeah, now she's like in a storyline. She actually has stakes. They did mention Terry this week, even though we didn't see her, which was nice.
So also I want to point out that Portia was looking at Drew's medical file. So I'm wondering if there's something in there that she can use against him. I don't know this for sure, but there was definitely a reason why she was looking at it.
I think he's going to turn out to have the brain tumor. I keep saying this, but it's like Jason had a brain tumor. They're twins.
Or I think maybe maybe he's allergic to something and she's plotting his murder.
He could also have the hole in his heart that the Quartermain heirs all have.
Yeah, there's something going on with that, and I can't wait to find out what that is. Okay, so we already talked about Jason and Carly. So we'll move on from that.
So intense. Yeah. Beautiful scenes.
It was really good. We'll talk about Joss's WSB training then.
Don't care. Very boring.
Same thing.
All I will say is that she took a lie detector, and they were talking about, you know, how she thought about the whole Michael getting burned and this, that, and third. And then the one thing I did want to know is that Brendan comes by later, and Joss asks her, "Is you know, do you love my mother, or are you just using her?" And Brendan says, "Does it matter?" And
look, I hate this. I hate this so much because this blonde guy who stands around and every 5 seconds is like, "You're not going to make it. Why are you here?" None of your business, jackass. Train me and move on with your day. He's so irritating and boring. And it sucks to have Jocelyn in these scenes because she's such a powerhouse of a character and she's been doing nothing but good. And now she's shunted off to the side with this dumbass who's boring. And then she kicks his ass every couple of days. Time. And I get to enjoy that. And then I'm like, okay, he's going to open his mouth and talk again. And I don't really want to hear it.
Yeah.
So I'm almost like fast forwarding them. And I love Jocelyn. She's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, same. Well, interesting fact that I read, this guy who plays what's his name, Vaughn, he was originally read for Chase and Dex, so now he's this guy. So.
Oh, he played for Dex? Is that why he's another blonde guy?
Oh. Yeah, and Chase too. It was years ago when Chase got cast.
He's a fine actor. I have no problem. I never have any problem with the acting. It's the writing is for this. Exactly. I don't know where they're going with this because it's like if they were really trying to break Jocelyn down and rebuild her personality, like it was like military boot camp, which is I think the idea they're going for. Obviously, written by a bunch of people who have never ever gone to a boot camp once in their entire lives. Why does she only have one trainer? She should have multiple trainers in different areas. Like
Jones should be one of them. Anna, Sean and Tiffany's daughter should be one of them.
Well, what about like Claudette? Like she needs to be trained in espionage and hacking and not hacking. Hacking is such a lame thing to say, but like, you know, all that stuff and trained how to tell if people are lying and all that stuff. Meanwhile, we just see her in the same stupid room with the same stupid guy and they have the same fight and he has almost identical dialogue every day.
You're not gonna make it. You're not gonna make it. You're not gonna make it. Shut up.
Why doesn't he just say we don't like women in the WSB? Like, go for it if you're gonna be that guy. Yeah, you're weak. You can't. You have emotions. It's so lame.
I think the one thing that also bothered me was that Jocelyn was wearing a WSB shirt like it was college or something.
Oh yeah, that was funny. That was really funny. Yeah.
Rep the WSB like it's Temple University.
Yeah, right.
WCU.
I think that's fine because they're in a secret location. But do you get to keep that and take it home? Is someone going to see
Right?
you? And not? Like, how does that work?
That's,
Like,
that's where my mind was going. Like she's probably not going to be able to keep the sweater that she has on.
shouldn't they have given her an Easter Island sweatshirt to make her cover?
Yeah, Easter Island.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really think this would have been a great opportunity to like borrow Frisco and see what Jack Wagner's up to and have Jack Wagner run her through a couple of courses and then maybe bring back some of the other older WSB agents to train her. Instead, we got this.
Yeah.
We could have done the fighting training in a montage.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's get into this great scene. Christina tells Sonny that Ava's flat broke. Christina wants him to fight for custody of Avery, and Ava arrives. She needs money, and she's still asking for money. Sonny says he will give her $2 million, but she can only have Avery every 2 weekends a month. Ava is not happy about this and says that she think I would use my daughter as a bargaining chip. I think you would, Ava, but
no, I don't think she would in that way because he was like basically sell your daughter to me. And she's like, I would never do that because she's been fighting her ass off for months to get her daughter back. And she's desperate for money, but she literally says what she thinks in that scene. She's like, I would never do that. He thinks that because he thinks she's garbage, but he is garbage.
They're both garbage.
No, she's wonderful.
One of them is garbage. And I agree with Karen. It's not Ava.
So they argue. Ava says, how's Michael doing? You haven't visited him in Germany. What's going on with that? And then Sonny throws the whole Morgan in his face, and her face, sorry. She did kill them. But also, Sonny killed AJ and Jagger. And who else? Many other people. So
he gets people hooked on drugs, and they work at strip clubs. He murders people who are unarmed. He is not a good person.
Sonny's no better.
He inadvertently gets his wife killed.
Yeah, Lily was his fault.
So, yeah, Sonny, you're one to talk here. Okay. So, Sonny collapses during this argument, and the pill bottle falls out of his jacket, and Ava goes, "You need those?" So we'll go back to Edward and Tracy's epic.
At that moment, I have to tell you all something. May 23rd, 1980. You're going to want to watch Tracy do that to Edward. It's really fun, and it's on YouTube.
Oh, it's good.
Epic. Yeah. All right. So Christina comes in.
Boo.
Boo! She ruined everything.
She did.
You should have seen me. I was like, listen, I love Maurice Bernard. And I think if he had stayed Mike, I would have been on point for this. But like, I literally yelled at the TV, die.
Okay, so let me ask you guys a question. Do you think Ava would really help him after Christina said, well, she said to Christina she was going to help him, but I don't think she will.
Okay, so 3 minutes before that, I want to call your attention to the fact that Sonny said he would kill her.
He did.
So he threatened to kill her, and then he had his little attack and fell on the ground. So you're telling me that if somebody came at you and said, if we didn't have a kid together, I'd murder you, and then he conveniently keels over and has a heart attack, and you're going to be like, all my problems would be solved if this guy who says he's going to murder me just dies.
Mm-hmm.
She wouldn't have to do a thing. All she'd have to do is not do anything. And then go, I didn't know what the pills were for, and he couldn't speak, so I called 911. And all she had to do is wait till his heart stops and then call 911.
Yep, exactly.
Yep. But then Christina will be like, you killed my daddy. You killed my daddy.
Listen, Christina's going to hate her no matter what because she's delusional. She still thinks that Ava pushed her out a window, which she didn't. And mind you,
she tripped over her bag.
She tripped over Jagger's luggage, but also she keeps getting in Ava's face.
Yes.
Even after this, she goes to Ava's house. Like every time someone's like, it was an accident, it's kind of like it's an accident you orchestrated yourself because you won't let it go.
Yes.
Also, Christina, when she talked to Molly this week, was such a horrible person.
I can't. I have a whole rant about that for later.
They shouldn't have apologized.
Okay, so Carla gets out of the hospital and she tells Brendan about Jason's promise, and Brendan says he's not afraid of Jason, so he's not worried about it.
He's stupid. Why would you not be afraid of Jason?
I don't know.
Jason's like the winter soldier of General Hospital. He never gets caught. He's killing a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Probably killed JFK. I know he was a child, but
yeah, for real.
Like 20 years before he was born, but I still think he did it.
Mm-hmm. So Tracy figures out that Brooklyn and Lois had a fight, and that's why Lois come back to First House, because Lois would have made a production about leaving if if everything was fine.
Also, I loved that conversation because it was between her and Ned.
Yes.
And Ned was like, I'm going to be an adult parent and I'm going to leave my adult daughter alone. And then she's going to tell me about it when she's ready. And Tracy's like hell you are. When did you? You're Ned. What are you doing?
It was nice to see Ned this week.
I love Ned. More Ned, please.
Yes.
Yes. If you're not on Days of Our Lives, you must be here.
Yes, absolutely. You do the double duty, but we get double the Ned.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get into Brooklyn and Lulu. You want to talk about this, Karen?
Honestly, it's the same conversation they have every single time. Lulu confronts Brooklyn first of all, she's late to work again. Then she shows up at the office and she's just like, I quit because you're an asshole who sent your husband after me, blah, blah, blah. As usual, Brooklyn doesn't know anything about anything because Brooklyn's just trying to do her job and live her life. And they get into it and it's the same argument again. And Lulu's like, now I have to lie to Chase. And she's like, well, if you hadn't broken in and stolen the information you weren't supposed to have, you wouldn't know anything about this. This is on you. And she's like, it's not on me. I was there looking for Charlotte because I'm a good mother and you're crap. And Brooklyn is just like, go away. I know. And she's just again, she's like, I'm going to keep this secret, but I'm doing it against protest. And I have to tell the man I love, blah, blah, blah. I don't care.
Yeah.
That's what happened. I was just like, halfway through it, I was like, are you kidding me? Stop it.
So I couldn't watch anymore because Lulu was just being ridiculous. And I don't know. I can't take her anymore.
I just can't stand that they keep having everybody repeat the same dialogue around in a circle.
Said the same thing for like 3 weeks now. Like ever since she found out about the baby.
Just tell Dante and be damned.
Right. Exactly.
I'm over it.
Okay, pivoting back to Ned and Tracy.
Love them.
One thing that I want to mention is that, because I've been wondering this. I'm like, why don't they use what they know about Drew and Nina? And
I know, this is your obsession. You're always texting me about
it. It is. I'm like, why?
And they basically said what I said.
You did. And I was like, okay, I had to hear it from them, Karen.
We talk all week.
Ned says, Tracy says that this is leverage they need to use against Nina, not Drew. So, okay. I get it now. But I need to hear it from them.
It was fun, though, to hear Tracy outline everything I said to you in a text. I was like, wild. I can't believe Tracy and I think a lot alike, which means I'm probably evil.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's see. I don't want to talk about Christina visiting Adela's grave or Irene. It says Irene's grave. I don't care.
I don't care. I already touched on it.
Yeah, she said she has to stop Ava. That's all she said. And it was, it's just like Christina is.
It's the same obsessive crap she's been saying for the last 6 months. It's just go to therapy.
Yeah. So Jean and Emma have a plan about the crypt. They are going. I think they said they were gonna. What was the plan? It was like they're gonna buy up.
What they wanted to do was they wanted to exchange the exact amount of land that the crypt overdid for a piece of the coastline because it's protected. There's a protected bird on it. I think they said an egret. Like a crane, I think. And then they were going to trade the land so that land becomes part of the conservation. It's the coastline. No one was going to develop it anyway. They take the plan to Ned, and Ned is just like, Quartermains don't give up anything. They don't It's just Quartermaines don't do that. And they're like, it's a great idea, but nobody in this family will go for it.
Right. Brooklyn even says you should be talking to Monica. You know.
Why aren't they talking to Monica? It's her land. This idea that Edward built a crypt over and off of the property line, how is that possible? Anything he did on that land would have had to go through Monica.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Why are we acting like the Quartermaines owned that mansion before Monica owned it? It was built for her by Alan. It's her house.
Yeah. All right, so I did enjoy this scene a lot with Curtis, Stella, and Tracy. That was
cute. I love Stella. She's not on enough.
Me too.
So Curtis, in the article, Curtis had Drew credited as Drew Kane and not Drew Quartermaine, which is brilliant. I loved it. Drew comes in and he's livid, and he and Curtis get into it, and it was great. And Stella and Tracy were there, and it was so much fun. So this prompts Drew to meet with Ezra, and he wants the crypt bulldozed as soon as possible.
The funny thing about this scene is just seeing how similarly Stella and Tracy regard their families and the protection of both. Because Tracy was just super impressed with Stella. Because remember, Tracy doesn't have friends except for Stella. So she and Stella are
I'm glad they brought that back.
Yeah, me too. I like them together. Like, Tracy needs someone who understands where she comes from. And it's difficult because she's a rich heiress who's going to understand her. But another matriarch of another family will understand where she's coming from. And Stella hates Drew too. So, like, she was just like, if you're here, this is going to be fireworks. And, like, it was just funny because Tracy's like, oh, this is going to be interesting.
So
love it.
Okay, so let's talk about Rick and Alexis. So Rick apologizes to Alexis because Cody got to him earlier. I think it was the week before we left off. And then
Cody was just basically like, you two are fighting and it's not hurting you, but it is hurting your daughters. So grow up. And Rick was like, she doesn't care about that. We've always been this way. And he's like, she does. Knock it off. And he's like, all right.
Yeah.
I guess so.
So Molly walks in and she thinks they're arguing, and they say no. They call a truce. So that made her happy. So I love that.
It was hilarious too because of he's like, I apologize and I accept your apology too. And Alexis is like, I didn't apologize. And he's like, and he goes, there's still time.
And Diane was there too, and that was great. It was good.
That was when the referee.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was when the episode began, and she was like, and Alexis was laying on the floor, and we thought something happened to her, but it turned out she was meditating.
Because she was gonna have this meeting, and she was all stressed out about it. She's so cute. I love Nancy Lee Grant so much.
All right, so let's talk about Molly and Christina. I am so mad at Molly right now because you literally went to your sister who stole your baby and said you want things to
ruined your relationship.
And you want to heal your relationship. I don't get it, Molly. I don't understand this. Like, this isn't you.
I feel like Molly feels left out in the cold.
Yeah.
And her one sister is dead. Her domestic partner has left her.
She's lonely.
The good domestic partner.
Yeah, and her mother and her father she doesn't know that they're making up. So, like, everybody's at odds, and she's literally alone, and she's lonely, and she misses having a relationship, like she says in the conversation. So I feel like she was trying to be the bigger person and say, let's lay all this down and try and rebuild our relationship. And Christina made her work for it, which made me want to kill her.
Yeah.
If she were a real person and she were my sister, I would have punched her in the face in that moment because that was horrible. She was like, oh, I don't know if we can ever be friends again. Like, after you ruined my relationship and stole my baby, I'm the one that needs to grovel. Like, this is quintessentially the problem with Christina's character.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's selfish and she's delusional.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I hope they give her, not saying that wouldn't make things better, but I hope they give her bipolar just because.
She's worse than bipolar. Something else is going on.
Oh, borderline.
Something. Mm-hmm.
You know what? I think she's just an asshole. I don't think we can blame mental illness for a lot of her behavior, because even if you do have a mental illness, like, it's not an excuse for the behavior that she's exhibiting. Like, it is an excuse for, like, say, the obsessiveness with Ava and the delusional ideas about Ava pushing her out the window, which she knows didn't happen. She's even admitted multiple times that it didn't happen. So yeah, for that. But for everything else, it's just like, she needs to take responsibility for her actions. People with mental illness have to take responsibility for their actions. They know that too. You don't just get a free pass because you've got an issue.
Oh no, I'm not giving her a free pass. I'm just, as somebody who has dealt with mental health for a long time, personally, I think that she does exhibit some mental health traits. The issue is she going to, like you said, is she going to admit to it?
Right.
Or not?
I would love the representation, to be honest. It would be great to see it.
She has no self-awareness, so she has no idea that she's spiraling. She has no idea.
True, but like, I feel like, yes, I want her to have the representation. I want to see it. Obviously, we had a really good, not like a good time, but like a great representation with Sonny and his, but also he doesn't get a pass on his horrible behavior because he's bipolar. So I guess it's just, and it is highly hereditary, so it would work for me. But I thought initially when they had the other Christina, the original, not the original one, there's like 12 of them. There's always 12 of the kids. The previous Christina she exhibited signs of ADHD, and now this one exhibits like you said, more like borderline personality disorder or bipolar. But if they're not going to do anything with it, that would suck.
Yeah.
Because there's an opportunity for redemption and medication and therapy for her, which would put her back into the hospital storyline. But I think she's going to go to the mob mall scenario.
Yeah. So Jason is curious to learn what happened between Sonny and Ava. Rick tells them that he located Selinsky, and Sonny wants to come, and Jason tells him not to come because of his heart condition.
Because it's stupid. He almost died 5 minutes ago. He's a moron.
Right. Like, why would you want to do that?
He hurt Michael, so I need to go do this myself because I'm a big man on
Right, and he said it's going to relieve some of his stress, and Jason's like, all right, whatever.
Jason's like, whatever, dude. I don't care anymore. Carly don't listen to me. You don't listen to me. I'm the only one with any brain cells left. I guess, sure.
Yeah. So we did end that episode with a picture of Michael and Morgan, so that was interesting. I wonder what that means.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too. There's a lot of speculation on that.
Yes, there is. So we'll see. Hopefully that means...
I didn't notice.
I wouldn't have noticed if I didn't see that Michael Fairman posted something about it, and then it was on Twitter.
I noticed,
so I was looking out for it.
Like, does this mean something? Like, I don't.
It always means something.
Yeah, or is it just like weird coincidence? I don't know. It was very strange, but I'm glad. It's definitely something. Okay, so we'll talk about Rick, Jordan, and Isaiah. Apparently, Isaiah has a secret about his family that first brought it to Jordan's to their attention, and Isaiah's like, "Yeah, don't worry about it."
What is this about Isaiah suddenly getting a family?
Yeah, like this is fun.
Is RJ coming?
RJ Gannon.
RJ Gannon?
So great.
How funny would that be? Oh my god!
And then he's related to Hank, and he's related to Nora in a way.
I would cry if they brought on
Rachel.
RJ.
Well, they can't get the last Rachel because she's on Beyond the Gates, but they can get.
That would be fun. That would be a good callback for sure.
Who plays RJ? Do you know the actor's name?
Timothy D. Stickney.
Yeah.
Is he doing anything right now? Because I love him.
I don't think he is.
Well, I know what he should be doing.
I haven't seen him in anything, but there's also a lot of media out there, and I can't keep up with it. So,
well, I hope that you're right and that they bring him on because that would be so cool.
Yeah, that would be so fun.
One Life to Live, always sliding the characters into GH. I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
So Elizabeth speaks to Lucas on the phone, and she says, "Whatever Portia did, it's really bad."
Yep.
So she goes in, and Lucky has prepared a romantic meal for her too. At Charlie's, there's lots of nostalgia, flashbacks from their New York trip, and Lucky wants.
She does not age.
No, she's a vampire.
She does not age. She does not age. I have to rewind. I was like, wait, this is the same person. I remember these scenes.
That was 25 years ago. That is
right.
Insane. That is insane.
Now it's so funny because like he looks a little older, but not by much. So he also has vampire blood.
Well, also because he has facial hair and his hair got longer. So
he does not look like he aged at all. He really doesn't.
No, he doesn't. If he shaved the beard and cut his hair, he would look exactly the same.
Vampires.
Yeah.
This is what we need Lucy Coe for, by the way. The show's full of vampires, and we need someone to get rid of them.
Yeah.
She had. I don't know if I'll share on this. I'll share it now. So there was like a social media post that had Lucy talking, and the camera was facing GH. And then one of the nurses, not Amy, but the African American nurse who's always at the nurses' hall. Yeah. She's like, turn the camera around, like give her on the wrong side, and it's Lucy. So Lucy's sharing something about the anniversary episode.
I think it's not the nurses' ball, to be honest.
It better be back this year.
Maybe the Monica tribute. I don't know.
I think it's about the nurses' ball. That's what I'm hoping, but we'll see. Because Deanna is a nurse and Lucy is a chairperson, so
Yes.
I think that makes sense.
So the nurses' ball might be coming back.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing. I missed it last year. They cut out everything good last year, and they need to put it all back in this year. That means we need to have Quartermain Thanksgiving. We need to have the Christmas story. We need to have the nurses' ball. Like, let's get on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love traditions on this show. They're all my favorite.
Mm-hmm. So Rick is over at Ava's, and Christina comes barging through the door, and she's knocking on the door, screaming, "We need to finish this, Ava!"
All the cops
say Ava. She just screams to me.
I would let her in. I'd be like, "The last time we were alone in a room together, you threw yourself out a window. I don't want you in here."
I loved when she said that. Stay away from the window.
Yeah,
stay away from the window.
Listen, Ava has my sense of humor, so when she said that, I was crying. I love her so much.
Christina is totally unhinged in this scene. She's like, "You killed Adela. You did this.
Her name is Adela." Well, actually, it's Irene. It's on the gravestone.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Ava, for pointing that out. I'm so glad.
Ava stayed perfectly calm in that scene. Ava
was very calm.
She was like, "Oh, you're going to do this, but Sonny's dying. So why don't I just go and tell everyone in court that Sonny's dying, and then I take my kid back, and then Sonny's enemies take care of Sonny. End of problem."
Yeah.
And Rick is just listening like, "Holy crap, Ava can hold her own, or Ava's evil, or it's hot." I'm not really sure. His expression was confusing to me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, conveniently, after she leaves, Christina sees Rick's car in Ava's spot because Rick
doesn't know it's Rick's car. Thinks it's Ava's car.
Well, wait, I thought that was funny because don't you think Ava or Christina would know what kind of car Ava drives?
Do you know what kind of car all your friends drive, and do you know anybody's license plate number? Because I don't.
Not everyone.
No, I don't either.
I don't know anyone's. The only one I know is Dana's because it's outside and I can look at it. But I don't know anybody's car or license plate.
She sees Jerome, sees a car, and is like, "I got this."
Yeah.
So the funny thing about that is that Rick took the spot because he was too lazy to park on the street, making Ava park on the street. And then because she's nuts, she cuts the brake line on the car, and then she leaves and immediately regrets it and tries to come back to fix it.
How do you fix that?
And she tells Lucky that she lost it, and Lucky follows her as she's leaving at the bar. So yeah, this is not going to end well. And
Ava also poisons Rick against Elizabeth.
He did
because she correctly clocks what Elizabeth was doing, which was to get the information on what was going on with Portia to protect the hospital and her job versus to just help Portia. Not that she wouldn't want to help Portia, but it was funny because Ava's like, she used your relationship to trick you into giving her the information she wanted. And he's like, she would never do that. And then he's in the car yelling at her because, yes, she would. She's super smart.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. Oh, we'll talk about the prep. That's the last thing we have to talk about. We have to talk about the car accident. Never mind. We didn't talk about the car accident, did we? Okay,
no, because that's at the very end.
Right.
It's very end, yep.
So Liz shows up at Ava's apartment with all the papers, and she took a ride share there. And Rick says he's going to drive her home. And yeah, and then the brakes are cut, and we don't really see what happens. They're arguing about.
They careen off the road because the camera pans and tells you otherwise.
Right, exactly. And they were
nobody in these scenarios pulls their parking brake.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody
turns
ever
the car off. Drives onto the lawn.
Nobody does that.
I don't know how cars work.
That's good to know if the brakes are ever cut.
If your brake line is cut, take your foot off the gas and let your car slow down and come to a stop, and almost to stop, pull your parking brake to stop your car. Or just, drive off until you slow down and bump into something. Like, why do they always seem to hit the gas and go faster into something else? I know it's exciting. That's why you do it on TV. But in real life, don't do that.
Exactly.
Do a spin or something to take the momentum out of your car.
Whee!
Yeah.
Go on a lawn. You'll roll to a stop, then pull your parking brake.
So Ezra and company arrive with a court. I guess it's an order. I don't know if it's a court order or it's what kind of order it was. It's a court order to demolish the prep. There's bulldozers there. Emma and Gio. Oh, well, actually, Trina's there first because she's upset about the noise because she's trying to study. And
it's like, bitch, I'm trying to study. What's this noise?
Yeah.
Well, she wasn't going to let them do it anyway. She lives over the garage. She likes quarter mains.
Mm-hmm. And then she starts taking a video, Emma style, which I like. That was fun. And then Emma and Gia show up, and Emma comes up with a plan. She handcuffs herself to the crypt, and then Tracy comes and joins her, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
So what am I missing on that? It's kind of how it ended, right? We don't know.
Anna shows up. They call Anna.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. Anna shows up. She says that she kind of sides with the law, which is surprising because Emma's.
Well, no, she has to. She read the court order, and if it's legal, that's what she has to do. Now, mind you, none of this would happen because it would be tied up in litigation for the next 14 years. And also, they're not going to demolish a building that has corpses interred in it. They would have to remove the bodies before they could
they said it was a health
violation. Yeah,
health violation.
Mm-hmm.
Not even a health violation. Like, desecration of a corpse is a crime all on its own. Yeah. Now, only some of those people interred there have been, cremated. There's bodies in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Lila, Edward, Alan, AJ. There's a lot of bodies in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Probably Alex.
Boston Gatlin Hope.
Probably there.
Is he in there?
No, he ain't getting in there. Him and Jimmy Lee are not getting in there. But there's a lot of dead quartermains. Emily probably. Like there's
Emily's
a lot.
In there.
Emily's definitely in there.
Yeah, they've showed the wall before. There's a lot of quartermains who died and were interred in there. So it's like, this is preposterous. I'm sorry. It's illegal. It would have been a legal battle. It's very preposterous. And I don't like it. I do like that it gets everybody on Tracy's side.
Yeah. It looks like this is going to be the anniversary story, and I'm not into it. I'm not into it. But
if it gets me clips of Alan, I'm fine.
Yeah.
All right. Anything to add? Anything I missed?
I think Ava killed it. 2 weeks of Ava just crushing every scene she's in. Christine is insane, but the acting's incredible. I don't like it. Right?
I like that she ordered a beer and didn't like it.
Oh, that was so funny.
Oh, Ava, when she got the beer, and then Nina was like, "What the hell are you drinking?"
Because that is so me. I would order a beer, but I don't like beer, so
I don't like beer.
And then they got 1075s.
They got really expensive.
Yeah.
But that's because Nina was paying for it. I did think it was hilarious that the lawyer was like, "You have a little bit left on here. You need to check your balances." And Ava goes, "How do I do that? How rich are you that you don't know how to check your balance on your credit card?" I love her.
Right. Oh,
she don't got an app for that. That's great.
So funny.
Great 2 weeks. I had a really good time.
Great 2 weeks. It was really good. Great. A lot of fun.
Steve Burton with his screaming at Carly. Him and Laura Wright, like they really seize the moment in those scenes because it is intense between them. They have a codependent relationship.
Yep.
And I feel like he would, if she had died, he would have killed Brennan and then maybe turned the gun on himself. I'm not really sure how that would have ended.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we'll wrap this up and we'll head over to Patreon where we have clips of the week to watch and we'll discuss some speculation and we'll pick our performers of the week. So the first week nominations are the Will and Melanie Courtney nod.
Yay.
Tracy tells Willow, "I'll remember you said that." And Chase confronts Lulu. The nominees for week 2, Lenny collapses after arguing with Ava. Lulu and Alexis's moment, and Emma and Tracy put themselves in front of the crowd. So please join us and find out who won, and we will see you soon. Bye.
Bye.